Great hall of the Kowalski estate had been arranged for diplomacy, which meant it had been arranged for war conducted while sitting down. Marta's father had placed the long oak table perpendicular to the hearth so that neither delegation could claim the warmer side, and he had set his own chair at the head, a position of nominal authority that fooled no one, least of all himself. Marta stood behind her father's right shoulder as the delegations filed in. The Swedish envoy, Baron Erik Lindqvist, entered first, flanked by two officers in blue coats still dusted with road snow. He was a compact man with a face like a closed fist, and he surveyed the room the way a buyer surveys livestock. Behind him came the Saxon representative, Count Friedrich von Dessau, taller and softer in the jaw, but with eyes that missed nothing. His entourage included a secretary who clutched a leather portfolio, as though it contained his own death warrant. Her father rose. "Gentlemen, you honor my house." Lindqvist answered in Swedish. Von Dessau responded in German. Neither looked at the other. Marta translated both greetings into Polish for her father, then rendered his welcome into Latin, the only language both delegations nominally shared. She kept her voice steady and her face neutral, though her stomach had been knotted since dawn. "We are here to discuss passage rights through the Kowalski province," her father began. "I serve neither crown. My only interest is the safety of my people." Lindqvist spoke before Marta had finished translating. "Your people's safety depends on choosing the right side, Lord Kowalski. King Charles offers protection to those who cooperate." "King Augustus offers the same," von Dessau said immediately, without the implication of a threat. "I made no threat." "You made nothing else." Marta translated each volley faithfully, watching her father's face tighten. The men had been in the room for less than 2 minutes. "Perhaps," Lord Henrik said carefully, "we might begin with the matter of the Northern Road. It is a practical question. Supply wagons have been using it without permission, damaging the bridge at NotSkyesToo. Lindqvist leaned back. "Swedish forces require that road. It is a military necessity." "Saxon forces have equal claim," von Dessau countered. "The road predates any Swedish presence in the region by centuries." Centuries, during which Saxony did nothing useful with it. Von Dessau's secretary stopped writing. The silence that followed was the kind that precedes either laughter or violence, and no one in the room was laughing. Marta felt it then, a subtle wrongness in the air, the way a room feels when a storm is close. The fire in the hearth popped and hissed, and for just a moment the flames bent sideways toward the east wall as though drawn by something. No one else seemed to notice. She leaned toward her father's ear. "Let me ask about the bridge specifically, the damage, the cost of repair. Give them something concrete to discuss." Her father hesitated, then nodded. Marta stepped forward, addressing both envoys in Latin. "My lords, the bridge at NotSkyesToo has lost 2 supports this winter. Regardless of whose wagons caused the damage, the bridge serves everyone. May we discuss how to repair it before spring floods make the question irrelevant?" Lindqvist studied her as though seeing her for the first time. "You are the translator." "I am Lord Kowalski's daughter." "Young for this work." "The bridge is old for its work. Shall we discuss it?" A flicker of something, not quite amusement, crossed his face. He nodded. For 20 minutes, Marta guided the conversation through the narrow channel of the bridge. She asked questions about load weights and timber supplies, translated answers with precision, and when either envoy began to veer toward accusations, she redirected with another practical detail. It was exhausting. It was like herding cats across a frozen river. But it held. Von Dessau proposed splitting the repair cost. Lindqvist countered that Sweden would supply timber if Saxon forces limited their wagon loads. It was not friendship. It was not even trust. But it was 2 men solving a problem instead of sharpening knives, and Marta clung to it. Then Lindqvist said something that changed the room. Of course, none of this matters if Augustus breaks his word again. He signed passage agreements at Altrinstedt and violated them within the year. Why should we trust Saxon promises about a bridge when Saxon kings cannot keep promises about kingdoms? The words landed like a slap. Von Dissau stood so quickly his chair scraped against the stone floor. You dare invoke Altrinstedt? Charles forced that treaty at sword point. A promise extracted by coercion is no promise at all. A promise is a promise, Count. Or does Saxony not understand the concept? Marta translated, her mouth dry. Her father gripped the arm of his chair. The fire in the hearth guttered again, and this time she heard something beneath the crackle of burning wood, a low vibration, almost beneath hearing, rising through the floor into the soles of her shoes. The seal, she thought. Every insult is a hammer blow. She had to stop this. My lords, she spoke before her father could, before either envoy could escalate further. Her Latin came out clear and sharp enough that both men turned to her. Baron Lindqvist, you say a promise is a promise. Then let me ask honestly, has Sweden kept every promise made to the people of this province? The villagers at Noe Stad were promised compensation for quartered soldiers last autumn. They received nothing. Lindqvist's jaw tightened. That is an administrative matter. It is a broken promise. And Count von Dissau, the Saxon garrison at Wieliczka, promised safe conduct for merchants on the Salt Road. 3 merchants were robbed by Saxon deserters last month, and no justice was offered. Von Dissau opened his mouth, then closed it. Both of your kings have broken faith with the people who live here, Marta said. The vibration in the floor was stronger now, and she pressed on, not because she was brave, but because she was terrified of what would happen if she stopped. My father governs these people. He cannot protect them from armies, but he can ask, honestly, without flattery or deception, whether the men in this room are willing to keep even one small promise. The bridge. Start with the bridge. The room was very quiet. Lord Henrik was staring at his daughter with an expression she could not read, pride and fear and something else, something old and sad. Lindqvist sat back down. He did it slowly, deliberately, as though making clear it was his choice. The girl has a point, he said. He did not say it warmly. Von Dissau remained standing a moment longer, then lowered himself into his chair. The bridge, he said. We will discuss the bridge. The next hour was grueling. Marta translated every sentence, smoothing edges where she could, preserving meaning where she had to even when the meaning was unpleasant. Twice more the envoys nearly came to blows, once over timber rights, once over a perceived slight in von Dissau's phrasing that Marta quietly softened in translation, then corrected herself and rendered honestly, because she remembered Felix's words about truth spoken when a lie would be easier. Von Dissau noticed the correction. He looked at her strangely. You changed your translation. I did. The first version was more polite. The second was more accurate. You deserve accuracy, even when it is uncomfortable. Another silence. Then von Dissau inclined his head, the smallest possible acknowledgement. By the time the candles had burned to half their length, they had reached an agreement on the bridge, provisional, fragile, hedged with conditions, but real. Her father signed a document in triplicate. Lindqvist and von Dissau signed beneath him. No one smiled. As the delegations filed out, Marta moved to the window. The courtyard below was dark, but the snow caught enough starlight to see by. 2 of Lindqvist's officers were arguing with a Saxon servant near the well. Their voices carried upward, sharp and contemptuous. As she watched, one officer shoved the servant backward. It is not enough, she thought. One signed paper about a bridge. It is not nearly enough. She pressed her hand to the glass. It was cold, but beneath the cold she felt it, the hum, faint and patient, rising through the stone walls of the manor itself now. And on the glass, just at the edge of her fingertips, frost was forming in spirals. Her father appeared beside her. He said nothing for a long moment, watching the altercation in the courtyard resolve itself as the officers walked away. "You spoke out of turn tonight," he said. "I know. You shamed 2 representatives of foreign crowns." "I told them the truth." He put his hand on her shoulder. His grip was firm, and when she looked at him, his tired eyes held that same unreadable expression. "Do it again tomorrow," he said quietly. "They are staying through the week. There will be more sessions, more arguments." He paused. "And Marta, the fire. Did you see the fire bend?" "Yes." "It bent toward the east." "I know." He squeezed her shoulder once, then limped away to see to his guests. Marta stayed at the window. The spiral frost had spread across the entire pane now, intricate and beautiful and wrong. Through it, she could just make out the dark line of the eastern hills. Somewhere beneath them, something was listening. She was sure of it. Listening to every broken oath, every act of contempt, every petty cruelty exchanged between men who had forgotten that their words had weight beyond this room, beyond this war, beyond anything they could imagine. And she was equally sure that tonight's fragile agreement had meant something too. A small thing, a single link in a corroding chain, perhaps slightly strengthened. But the chain was long, and the links were failing faster than she could mend them. She wiped the frost from the glass with her sleeve. It reformed within seconds, the spirals tighter than before.